On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope. HOPE. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know. Every day, one step at a time, man. We gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate and seeking knowledge, make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
So peace, everyone. This is the Tribal Ujima study group where we meet every second and fourth Wednesday. I know today's not the fourth Wednesday, but on the last meeting, which was the second Wednesday, we did the Q&A, and we were not able to finish that presentation. So we moved this over to the third Wednesday. We're going to go over Easter today. And then next week, we'll do a Q&A of what we talk about today. We'll do a Q&A. So, you know, we can just kind of flow through this today. And then next week, we'll do a Q&A review over what we learned in here today. So I hope all is well. And so, but the study group, as we move forward, will be every second and fourth Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9:30. Sometimes we go over a little bit. And that's fine. So you're able to share this flyer. You can share the video. You also can join Tribal Ujima Study Group and post material in the study group pertaining to us propelling forward. We'll love to have you in the study group. We need active Moors and not passive Moors. So we'd love to have you on the study group. You can, you know, go live and talk and build on there to enlighten others. We have a lot of newcomers for us to the information. Some people still playing the black thing, or not playing it, but they don't know themselves. So we got people from that level all the way to conscious Moors like ourselves who are still building and kind of maneuvering through some of the misconceptions that we've had through the movement. And so I welcome everyone, and we'll go ahead and get started. Oh man, I thought I had the picture up. Well, yeah, I thought it was a picture. Let me see something right quick. Can y'all see that? Why is it not? It ain't coming up right here. Well, this is a picture right here from a past event that we had at the garden. We had over 50 children out at our community garden where we were just teaching them the basics of agriculture, you know, watering, moving wood chips around so we use wood chips as a natural way to kind of kill the grass without using chemicals and things of that nature. So we'll lay out cardboard and we'll put wood chips on the cardboard as a natural way to kill the grass so we don't have to use chemicals. So we had the children out building pallets, we were building chairs, we were painting signs, we were doing some landscaping, we were planting flowers and things of that nature. And so that was this past Saturday at our community work day. And that's part of the community outreach, because we do, as Brother Okono was saying before some of you all got on, we got to have a presence in the community, a positive presence within the community. And so that's what this is about, you know, building relationships in the communities and then bringing them on to structured platforms so we can kind of teach them and build and learn ourselves, and they don't look at you as somebody who, because this information is new. Once you're on one side of the hill and you start learning about this information, it is kind of, it gets you tied up if you're already not introduced to it. And so we got to have a strategy on how we do it. And so just the chess club is just where we get together and play chess. I don't say anything about them not being black or not being this or not being that. Just kind of play chess with them, get to know their mind, get to know how they're thinking, you know, and then I introduce vocabulary words and, you know, and give them prizes and stuff. Like if you can remember the vocabulary word, you may win a coupon to go to Chick-fil-A or a coupon to go to the movies. And this is to slowly build them with international terms like post-millennium, nationality, et cetera, just different terms that give them a better understanding when they do come over and start to learn more about Moorish consciousness. And we do the chess club every second and fourth Saturday. And sometimes we do different days depending on if I'm in my smoothie trailer selling smoothies, then we'll kind of move it around. But I'm all about having a structured system. We need to have stuff that's set out. If you're gonna do something, do it every first Wednesday of the month, every third Monday. Don't just randomly do it, because it's hard to build like that. For us, when people coming in, they need structure. Our people need structure. They need something that's consistent, that they can depend on, that's not random. And so work on setting out a structure, laying out your foundation first before you even get started. If you want to do a chess program, then get with your public library. They won't charge you. Get with a church, get with somebody's house. Y'all come together, buy a few chess boards. Sometimes the library bought our chess boards. And so it's ways around it for us not having to put out a lot of money when you get started, but have a system, do something structurally, even through learning about Easter, even through learning about, the different holy days. The astrological events are structured. They're not random. The vernal equinox, the winter solstice, these are not random events. So we talking Moorish consciousness. So we have to be in line with nature. Moorish consciousness is being in line with nature. We use nature a lot to maneuver and to come up with concepts that we pass down to the future generations. So stuff is built upon structure. Now, everything on the planet is built upon structure. The stars, Venus, Polaris, the Polaris star, and etc. Stuff is built around structure. So I just offer that we have structure in what we do. Don't, you can start it and do what you do, but know that you need a systematic structure, and that gives accountability. So that makes you accountable to stick to what you said, rather than I just do it today. I ain't gonna do it today. I do it tomorrow. I ain't gonna do it tomorrow. That ain't what we gotta, that's not the move. We have to have a systematic structure. And so we're having our 4th annual Easter egg hunt in Tall Pines apartment. It's probably over 100 children will be there. And so I actually sent it out to a few members of our nonprofit, our 501c3, for them to be on. I don't see all of them on, but for them to be enlightened on what Easter is. A lot of people still think it's the resurrection of Jesus and all of that stuff. And so we use these days as an outreach, because we talking mass outreach and Moorish consciousness in our community. So we need to be present on these days, 4th of July. All these have astronomical events. It's not just limited to a bunch of Europeans. They hijacked a lot of stuff. Mostly everything that they've done has been hijacked and just manipulated to separate us from our ancient culture. But it's not theirs in origin. And so you have a lot of people say that they don't celebrate Easter, or they don't do this, or they don't do that, and so, we want to be present at these events, because we know people already want to celebrate Easter. So if you say, hey, we're having an Easter event, come out, free food, then people want to come out. Then you start passing out information. Even if you get 1 or 2 people, you just gradually build, and next thing you know, you got 40, 50 solid people, and now you're rolling. Now you got 100, now you got 150, now you got 2, and then multiply, now you got 1,000, and so it's about commitment. And so we got to be committed to the work that's laid out in front of us, and know that it's not overnight. It's not tomorrow it's going to be done. It's not next week, and so we just got to be dedicated and continue to be committed to what has to be done, and take our affairs amongst the places of men. And so that's how we're outreaching to the community. We're going to have a kids bouncer. We're going to have face painting, train ride, food and drink. Everything will be free. We'll have Easter eggs that we'll hide. And we'll have flyers that you'll see in this presentation that we'll pass out at the event. We're also going to make note of the International Day of the Youth. We're going to have a banner out there, Article 3 or Declaration 3 of the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. Every child has a right to a nationality. And we're not going to educate them, go into detail at the event, but it'll be there. And just subliminally, they'll be like, well, what's nationality? Then we'll play a game where they throw the beanbag at different nationalities. So we get a cardboard and have it sitting out on different areas. It'll say French, Dutch, Moor, etc. And they'll throw the beanbags out and land on, like if they pull out the bag and it says Moor, and they got to get their beanbag and throw the beanbag on the cardboard that say Moor. And we'll be like, all right, y'all, we're going to pull out different nationalities, but black won't be in there, but we won't say nothing about it. It just be subliminal, like, damn, where's black? Now, if they ask, then we kind of can, well, join us on the study group next week or in 2 weeks, kind of get their email and have a registry. So we'll have a registry at the event where we get the name, the number, the email. So there's a follow-up concept where we're following up, not just we see them one day and then they never see us again. We want to be able to follow up. And so, our website that we have is just a vehicle of outreach and getting the word out of what we're doing. So the true meaning of Easter. And I didn't create this. Actually, the Moroccan Post School of Government, they assisted. They created some of these slides. Not everything in the presentation, but this one right here where you see the eagle. They created this for us to pass out at the events, and you'll see other slides that they created that will pass out. It's like 7 pages that will pass out at the event on the true meaning of Easter. All right, so Easter in different languages. A lot of times we get limited because we look at what we look at, and we look at it only in the context of the English language. And so through that, we kind of get distorted on how we look at stuff. So this is Easter in various different languages. You have the Canaanite, Asteroth, Phoenician, Astarte, Babylonian, Ishtar, Sumerian, Inanna, Anglo-Saxon, Easter, or Astara. And you got modern English, Easter, and also the East Star, which is Venus, the East Star. So who was the goddess Ashira Ashtaroth? And somebody, if you can read that on the screen, somebody read that for me. Who was the goddess Ashira Ashtaroth, if that's how you say it?
Asherah, also Ashtoreth or Ashtar, though there may have been a distinction, was the primary goddess worshipped by the ancient Canaanites and neighboring peoples, including the Philistines. 1 Samuel 31:10. The Israelites also worshipped Asherah from as early as the time immediately following the death of Joshua. Judges 2:13.
And remember, I'm gonna go back. So we looking at Easter in various different languages. So something that stood out to me just before we even dig deep into it, it used the word goddess. So they talking feminine. And so now you'll see Easter being associated with a male. And so now you see the matriarch and the patriarch concept coming up. And we're not really honoring the feminine aspect of nature. And we've been pushed over to male, Jesus, in the sense of a male, a guy. And you'll see that these ancient deities were mostly, if not all, feminine. So just note that you see the word goddess, and so it's talking feminine. Ishtar. All right, somebody read this slide for me.
Ishtar, also known as Inanna in Sumerian sources, is a primary Mesopotamian goddess. She is closely associated with love and war. Ishtar is considered a member of the special class of Mesopotamian gods called the Anunnaki. She is the Akkadian counterpart of the West Semitic goddess Astarte. Ishtar is the chief Babylonian and Assyrian goddess associated with love, fertility, and war, being the counterpart of the Phoenician Astarte.
It says she. He used the word she. She is closely. And it say he. But you'll see now in today's time, well, even the women, when they reference a deity or something of higher power, they use the word he. Why is that? How did that come about? And so now you'll see them attacking your culture through language. And so we're going to tie this in on how this connects to Venus and Easter as we continue on. All right, descent into the underworld, Inanna, Ishtar, or Venus. Inanna is the ancient Mesopotamian goddess of love, war, and fertility. And so we know in Easter, we know that rabbits don't lay eggs. And so there's, we're going to get into that. We'll show the children that why, rabbits don't lay eggs. So why rabbit and egg in Easter? Okay. And she is also associated with beauty, sex, and divine law and political power. So not only is this an astrological event, this is dealing with your political power, knowledge of nature, and tying ourselves back into nature. Originally worshipped in summer, she was known by the Akkadian Empire, Babylonians, and Assyrians as Ishtar, and occasionally the Iogram. Her primary title was the Queen of Heaven. It says her though. So let that stand out, because a lot of people use the word he when they reference to deities and higher powers, even the women themselves, they say he. And so you'll see that it's been a flip, a reversal on how we deal with mostly everything. And so it's something outside of ourselves that we seek. Easter was originally the celebration of Ishtar, the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of fertility and sex. So you'll see the egg, represents the youth. It represents fertility. It represents the unborn generations. Her symbols, and a rabbit has a lot of litter, so to speak. A rabbit has, when it has its children, it has a bunch of baby rabbits, and so that's symbolic as for the rabbit as well, just fertility. Her symbols, like the egg and bunny, were and still are fertility and sex symbols. Or did you actually think eggs and bunnies had anything to do with the resurrection? And peep this, after Constantine decided to Christianize the empire, Easter was changed to represent Jesus. But at its roots, Easter, which is how you pronounce Ishtar, is about celebrating fertility and sex. And we'll go deeper into that. All right. And somebody read this for me. Venus in astrology, unlocking the mysteries of love planet. So now we're just looking at Venus, because remember, now we looked at Astarte, we looked at Ishtar, Asteroth, etc., in the sense of love and fertility, though. So now take that, put that to the side. Now let's just look at Venus in the concept of astrology. And so let's look at Venus. Somebody read about Venus and the concept of astrology.
Venus in astrology, unlocking the mysteries of Love Planet. Venus, the second planet from the sun, holds great significance in astrology. As a celestial body, it symbolizes love, beauty, pleasure, and attraction. With a strong influence on earthly relationships and artistic expression, Venus plays a crucial role in determining how individuals connect with others and appreciate the finer aspects of life. Astrologers draw upon the placement of Venus in an individual's birth chart to better understand their approach to love, dating, and sources of pleasure. Each astrological sign, when illuminated by Venus, reveals special traits and preferences an individual may have when it comes to romance and attraction. For instance, someone with Venus in Leo might seek relationships that are fun, vibrant, and filled with grand displays of affection. Additionally, Venus in astrology possesses a dual rulership over the signs Taurus and Libra. This emphasizes the planet's connection to matters of material value, aesthetics, and harmony within relationships. Thus, Venus serves as a guide for astrologers and enthusiasts alike, providing insight into a person's emotional and artistic inclinations, as well as their affinity for balance and beauty in.
And yeah, great read. And so you got Mercury is the first planet from the sun, then Venus, then you got Earth, then you got Mars, Jupiter and so on, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But all of this is being charted by our ancestors. And so, thousands and thousands of years ago. And so there's a clock in the sky, as there's a clock on your wall, on your wrist. You look at, the long pointing instrument on your on the watch, and then the short one, and it's a clock, it's a time. And so is the planetary systems are also a clock. And so it's structured. Every so many thousands of years, certain stuff happen. Every year, certain stuff happen. So it's an eternal clock in the sky. And that's why I was referencing earlier about us being tied to nature, meaning we got to have a structure. We can't randomly, nothing in nature is random. Everything has a structure. And so the knowledge of Venus is being charted by our ancestors thousands of years ago. That's why you're able to say, I'm a Gemini, or I'm a Taurus, or I'm a Libra, So all that's you, as above, so below. What you see there is also within you. And so I appreciate you reading that. We'll go to the next slide here. In the larger historical picture, Astarta is part of a long line of dawn goddesses, including the Greek Eos, Roman Aurora, and Indian Ushas, who were derived from the cosmological symbolism of the sun and Venus, rising together from the Eastern Sea. The planet Venus was thus the Ishtar, or Easter, of the sunrise. And so that's what Easter is about, is the heliacal rising of Venus. And right quick, I want to tie it into the garden when I showed y'all those pictures earlier, because I know the children are going to be excited about actually seeing this with their own eyes. And so that's where we'll go into like getting telescopes, because remember, Venus is the second planet. And so it can be seen with the naked eye, but with the telescope, we'll be able to, follow it as our ancestors did, follow it, chart it, write out what we need to write out to be able to further support it, as time progresses, because this can even be used for gardening, for agriculture. When the rising of Venus brings in a lot of rain, and so following Venus, you'll be able to determine when the rain season will be coming in and down in the southern part or in the northern hemisphere. And so this is very important dealing with agriculture and growing food, because they didn't have Google, they didn't have YouTube, and all these other things. So they had to focus more on something that was set, a structure. And so you'll see why they would want to follow Venus. Why would they want to follow all this stuff? Because it's the same reason why you look at your watch and say, oh, it's 2:15, I got to go do this. They say, oh, it's the heliacal rising of Venus, I got to go plant this. Same concept. So that's how important this is. And remember, we're talking political power. It also mentioned political power in knowing about astrology and the workings of nature. Rain represents the raining season brought out by the heliacal rising of the planet Venus. Heliacal means pertaining to the sun, or we could break it down further as it is Greek for heliacos, which means of the sun. The root of the word heli is helios, sun. So the heliacal year is the rising sun, planet Venus, meaning Venus rises before the sun. So during the heliacal rising of Venus, you'll see Venus, the bright star. Oh, go ahead. Somebody say something? So during the heliacal rising of Venus, you'll see Venus as the Ishtar, the bright star, rise before sunrise. And so Venus will rise before the sun. And so that's why it's pertaining to the sun, you know, so it's the heliacal rising of Venus, though. You got the heliacal rising of Polaris and other stars as well. But Easter is dealing with the heliacal rising of Venus, though, the East star. So the sun rises in the east and it settles in the west. All right, somebody take on this slide for me. Somebody new. Somebody that haven't read yet. Don't be afraid.
I got you. The planet Venus shining ever so bright in the sky like flames in a torch, guiding us in the rising of the day for 260 days as the bright morning star. The planet Venus is associated with flames in the sky because of its bright yellow appearance. Due to its carbon dioxide atmosphere mixed with the sulfuric acid. Due to its carbon dioxide atmosphere mixed with sulfuric acid.
Okay, I'll go to the next slide. All right, Lucifer. We're gonna look at Lucifer in the context of what because remember, Philip K. Dick quote is the easiest manipulation of a person's reality. The easiest manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. The person who controls the meaning of the word controls the people who must use them. And so I know what they've told us Lucifer was. But in the context of what we're reading, we're going to look back at Lucifer in the etymological sense. And etymology is the study of the origin of words. And so Lucifer, remember, this is not how we feel about it. Don't look at what you've been told your whole life. That's one thing. But let's also just look at the etymology of Lucifer. I know what we've been told. You know, I was beat up about everything. But just consider what you were told. But also, well, consider means, but we're not going to go that deep. But we're going to look at the etymology of Lucifer. And so just look at the etymology of Lucifer. And then you can weigh it on the scales of my act. You can say, okay, etymology is something well settled. King James Version is just what it is. It's a version. I mean, they told you what it was. It's King James, so it's just a version. And so Lucifer, Old English Lucifer, Satan, also the morning star. And you'll see it being codified though. So your culture, there's somebody that got to codify it. Because remember, everything has been here for thousands of years. Nothing is new under the sun. You've heard that, you know. And so neither is Easter, neither is Christmas, you know, neither is 4th of July. And so none of that is new, not just what you want it to be when you saying it to somebody. Nothing is new under the sun. And so neither is Lucifer, the concept of Lucifer, you know. And so also the morning star, Venus in the morning sky before sunrise. Also an epithet or name of Diana from Latin, Lucifer, morning star. Noun use of adjective, literally the light bringing, from lux, genitive Luke's, Lucius, Luce, light from Proto-Indo-European root, Luke, light, brightness, plus Ferrer, to carry, bear, from Proto-Indo-European root, bear, to carry, also to bear children. Venus in the evening sky was Hesperus. And so in Revelation, in the King James Bible, 2:28, and I will give him the morning star. In Isaiah 14:12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Corinthians 15:41. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For star differs from star in glory. Matthew 2:10. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. When they saw the star, why would they rejoice? Because they knowing that this dealing with agriculture and feeding the world, so they happy about how fruitful it, or it could be other stuff, but that's one reason to be happy. Because you can't go to Walmart back then, Kroger, Publix, Bigwig, none of that. So they have to rejoice that they're able to have, the bread. They able to have food, that they can eat, give their children. So they rejoiced, they were happy. A lot of rain for the start coming. They need the rain. All right, somebody check out this. Somebody new. I mean, hopefully somebody new can read it. Just for participation. The only way to prepare for it is us to practice participation every chance we get. So we won't think it's up to 2-3 people to do it. We sit back and, oh, I know Amanda's gonna read. I don't have to read. And we start getting conditioned like that. We all gotta participate.
Scripture again?
Say it again for me.
What was that scripture again?
Let me go back. Revelations 2:28. You can screenshot if you're able. Isaiah 14:12, and there are others. Abdullah sent me a link with a whole bunch of them on there. I'll send it to you. But this is just a few of them. Let me know when you're done, when you got it.
All right.
All right. But yeah, what I was saying is I don't want us to get used to just like having that scapegoat. Oh, I know Amanda's gonna read. I ain't got to do nothing but just sit here the whole time. And we start acting like that in everything that we do. And so we talking the will of the people. We asking how long is this gonna take? So the answer is it's up to you. You have to participate. This is just practicing. I know we're just reading, but I'm saying we gotta always want to be involved in stuff and not leave it up to the Konos and the Amandas. You yourself have to participate for it to prepare for, so you yourself have to be a part. Somebody take on this slide. And this is how to look. What happens when the Konos and the Kwazis and the Abdullahs and the Kings and the Amandas, and when we're not there, we can't be over in France, but we're not gonna have a presence. So we gotta be willing to step in on all levels though. This is just basic reading for 30 seconds. So somebody take this slide. I won't read it.
I'm sorry, I'm in the grocery store and I don't have my glasses.
I'm gonna try to read it. I gotta blow it up. Y'all dealing with the one eye guy right now. All right. The eggs in the bunny, the rabbit symbolize the growth of the corn, maize, and other vegetations during the rainy seasons. Let me see, gotta make it bigger. Elliptical risings of the planet Venus. It was never known throughout the world history for bunnies to lay eggs. They don't lay eggs because they are placental. This is what it means, mammals, which means they carry a baby inside of their uterus, like humans.
Islam, appreciate you. And that's something everybody may not know. So this is some of the pamphlets that the Moroccan Post that they got created for us, that we'll be passing out on that at the Easter event. It's about 7 pages, and we'll be passing out, hundreds of these pages to the people at the event. All right. The annual event in honor of Astarta celebrated new life and renewal. The superstition about wearing new clothes came later, but echoed the commemoration of the new Ishtar is in the lineage of Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess of love and fertility. Other names for this archetype include Inanna, Aphrodite, Diana, Isis, Venus, Astarte, Demeter, Easter, and Freya. Freya is specifically honored on Good Friday, the day named for her. And use the word he. The Easter Bunny is a continuation of the reverence shown during the spring rites to the rabbit as a symbol of abundance. The honoring of such emblems of fertility extended to eggs. The eggs serve as a representation of new life. It stands for the renewing power of nature and, by extension, agriculture. The egg can also symbolize regeneration in a spiritual or psychological sense. The ritual of coloring Easter eggs stems from the tradition of painting eggs in bright colors to represent the sunlight of spring. All right, somebody take on this slide, somebody new.
Okay, I'll read. Good Friday actually represents the rising of the planet Venus, as Friday is the day of fertility and life. As on Easter, life is sprung forward, bringing in new beginnings, starting with the woman.
Starting with the who?
The woman.
Starting with the woman. But then you'll see they pushing what? Mary, the Virgin, I mean, all that, what she had the only begotten son and had Jesus and, and he this and he that, and all of that. Not honoring the woman at all.
I want you to go somewhere. No. Yeah.
Hi. Hi.
Peace. Hey, how you doing?
What's your
name?
All right. So we'll go to the next slide here. Friday. Let's look at the etymology of Friday. Somebody take on this.
Friday, noun. 6th day of the week, Old English, Friggdag, Friday, Frigga's day, from fridge, genitive of frigu, see frig, Germanic goddess of married love. The day name is a West Germanic translation of Latin Dies Veneris, day of the planet Venus, which is translated Greek Aphrodite's Hemera. Compare Old Norse Frigjadagur, Old Frisian Frigendi, Middle Dutch Vredak, Dutch Vrijag, German Freitag, Friday, and the Latin-derived cognates, Old French Vendredi, French Vendredi,
It's vendredi.
Vendredi, Spanish Viernes, in Germanic religion, Freya, I don't know, QV corresponds more closely in character to Venus than Frigg does, and some early Icelandic writers used Freyjudagur for Friday.
So the word Friday itself comes from Venus. The word Friday itself. And that's where you hear people say as above, so below. And the same concept, just putting it in context. The way we come up with stuff is because it's structured. It's structured. When you look up, it's not random. You see the constellations, you know, how you identify major stars up there. But I'm saying the constellation is structured. That's how you're able to identify it. And then that particular star is followed and tracked and traced to determine certain seasons and certain things. Like you got 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on your clock. You say, oh, it's 6 o'clock. It's time for me to get up. Oh, the morning star, it's time for me to, you know, same concept. The wheel in the sky. Aphrodite, ancient Greek goddess of sexual love and beauty, identified with Venus by the Romans. Freya, and look at all this saying goddess, like even if you can't get much out of it, you'll know it still ain't got nothing to do with a male. You can at least see that much, you know, and then you begin to see other things. Freya, goddess of sexual love and beauty in Norse mythology. Frigg, and Germanic religion, queen of heaven and goddess of married love. All right. Somebody new. Let's keep it flowing. Somebody new take on this 15-second read, 20-second read.
Jesus is the son of God, but before Jesus, it was Isis. Zeus and Deuce. In modern English, the letter J came about in 1554, which means before. Then it was non-existent. Jesus, in relation to Easter, is describing the rising of the sun star Venus. Also, in relation to the star of Venus, the phrase Good Friday is connected because Friday in German means Frigg. Frigg was the goddess of fertility in Germany. It is also known that the Germanic word is a translation of the Latin word, I think, Veneris,
Yeah,
which
Veneris.
means day of the planet Venus.
Wow. And so see how powerful etymology is and how you can use it. So somebody might say, what's the point? It don't mean anything. Well, this is ancient culture. So this was your political power and still is, understanding who you are and how you're tied to nature, you know, and how people hijacked it and why would people hijack it? If somebody takes something from you, that means they see the value in it and they use it as if it's themselves. And so that means that they see value in it. So those are some of the important things, you know, when somebody say, what's the point? It don't matter. You know, well, it mattered because they changed it. They manipulated the concept. For what reason? Then that's why etymology is a great tool, so you can see that it was manipulated. And then you start to see, okay, why was certain stuff manipulated? Why are they pushing certain stuff to the masses of people to keep them, you know, unaware and not conscious to nature? You know, we just, you know, so that's why it's important. And also, so if they were to shut down the internet, we wouldn't really have a means of connecting ourselves back because we don't have this knowledge. And so that's why it's important to know that these holy days that's been kept, even when you was little, they were celebrating Easter. But those small group of people who know, they still controlling everything because they know the origins of it. You know, they know now if they shut down Facebook and Instagram and all the internet, they still can keep this sacred information and thrive while the rest of the humanity goes back into the Stone Age, running around back acting crazy because they're not tied to nature. Etymology of Jesus. The name Jesus is the modern English form transliterated from ancient languages, Phoenician, Babylonian, Canaanite, Egyptian, and Chaldean. The Ukrainian of Freemasonry, book by Albert Churchward. And I'll read this. This is coming from the book, that book you just seen. Understand the volume of the sacred law. It must be read as an esoteric representation and not an exoteric rendering. Most people do the latter, which is terribly misleading for those who are ignorant of the ancient Egyptian wisdom. Who signifies in Egyptian the Lord of the heavens and the earth, ruler of the destiny of the world. The original word was written who, then u, and then ua, and then I, as the son of who, which two were one. In later times, the letter I was changed into Y, which students would do well to bear in mind in trying to decipher the name as written at the present day. The letter Y did not exist until many thousands of years after the letter I had been formed. Another form for the name was Heru. Kuti equals light of the world. The Jews used the word Aya or Jehovah, Phoenician Io, Hebrew I, Assyrian Ayu, Egyptian Gnostics Ayu, Polynesian Ahu, Dayak Yavu or Ayu, Nicobar Islands U, Mexican Au, Tuda U, Hungarian Io, Manix, E, Cornish, Ayu, Welsh, Ayu, Chaldean, Al, Hepateus, Greek, I, and E. The Jews were originally the followers of Ayu or U or Ayu, the worshippers of Ayu in Phoenicia, of Ayu in Assyria, of Ayu in Syria, Ayu and Hu in Britain, I or U in Greece, Ahu in Polynesia, Ayu in America, were each and all of them Jews in a sense, but the sense was religious, not originally ethnical. And in the second page, the Akrana of Freemasonry was part of the solar doctrines, eschatology of the Egyptians. The Dyaks of Borneo did not obtain their Yahuwah from the Hebrew Jehovah, but from the origins of both. The change in Israel from the worship of El Shaddai to the worship of Ahu equals Hu or U in Egypt. From the Eliistic to the Jehovahistic God corresponds to the change from the stellar to the solar doctrines in the eschatology of the Egyptians, which can be seen and proved in the volume of the sacred law. In the book of 1 Chronicles 12:5, in which we find that Baal, Jah, as divinity, supplied a personal name. Thus, the Baal is Jah, who is one of the Baalim, the primary or superior one of the 7 stellar attributes. The one God in Israel was made known to Moses by the 2 names of U and Al. In the Egyptian, the one God in the earliest solar form was Tum, the earliest form of Autumn Ra. He was Hu-He, the eternal, in the character of God the Father, and U or Tim in the character of God the Son, which two were one. Genesis derives the name Ihu or later Yuhu, from the root hu, which root does not exist in Hebrew, but it does exist in Egyptian. Who or he signifies everlastingness, eternity, the eternal, and was one of the titles associated or names of Horus. The name changed from Tum, Ptah, Adamra, Osiris, as Neb, who the ever, and that's it. But the stellar, what was talking about the stellar, what was it in here somewhere? Stellar, the stellar to the solar doctrines, the stellar. I know that's dealing with, you had the circle that where they used the stones, and then the circumput where they would have this is the ancient clock. Where you had the sunstones is what they call it, the sunstones, and based on how the shadow was cast, that's how they was able to determine what time it was based on the casting of the shadow, and they would do the point within the circle, and you'll see that in the Masonic lodges, where you'll see that concept, and then they'll have where it marks the winter solstice and the vernal equinox is marked on that clock. And it was the sunstone circles, and that's I think that's tied into the stellar and the solar doctrines. I keep going here. You want to add to that, Abdullah, while you're on the sunstones and the stellar solar doctrines?
Yes. Yes. In Masonic order, the two pillars are known as Boaz and Joachim, and those two pillars mark the winter solstice and the summer solstice. And you have the point within the circle, as Kwasi mentioned, but you also have the point within the circle with the two parallel lines in Masonic orders. And the two parallel lines mark the Boaz and Joachim, meaning that they mark the winter solstice and summer solstice. So you have the point within the circle with the two parallel lines. You have the two pillars of Boaz and Joachim. So as Kwasi mentioned, they hijacked our culture. And I know you have a lot of, brothers. In fact, I'm scheduled to speak at two Masonic in June, the first weekend of June here in Philadelphia. I'm speaking both to the Eastern Stars and the Masons at the Moorish Rites. Raymond Edwards is one of the keynote speakers of the conference, of the Moorish Governance Birthright National Acclaim Conference. He's one of the keynote speakers. He will be on Moorish Monday on April 15th with me. We have El Kanan, my Masonic connection in Chicago. I've known for 4 or 5 years. I've been teaching him. And Nakeem, I've known Nakeem for 30 years. So they will all three of them will be on with me on Moorish Monday on April 15th. I reached out to them yesterday. All right. We have Pocola, Kusar Air will be on Moorish Monday next Monday. She'll be on next Monday. She's the next. We have April 8th is my series, and I'm trying to get somebody else on. I'm going to get the lineup of all the speakers, keynote speakers on Moorish Monday leading up to the conference. So I just want to tie all that in too, because it's all relevant. All right. So my experience with brothers is that they have not been taught the astronomical meaning origin of anything. So they look at what they call Masonic symbols as belonging to the lodge. They pay money, and they think there's, special above everybody else, and you know, they have T-shirts and and you know, hats, and you know, so they really think that it belongs to the lodge. They think the Compton Square belongs to the lodge. You know, Boaz and Jock, two pillars, everything is originating from the lodge. And then, you know, this is Project doing a great job. You know, it feels good to sit here and to watch somebody else, you know, present the what Easter is. You know, so it's really good, you know. So I'm very pleased, you know. So I am challenging everyone on here to step up, you know, as y'all are doing. Y'all are doing. Y'all are calling. Y'all answering the bell. Bell ding ding. Y'all coming out of your seats and answering the bell, because it can't be just Shim and me. You know, Abdul and Shim. Abdul and Shim. Abdul and Shim. Abdul and Shim. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. All right, go ahead, brother. Think I.
All right. We're almost down to the closing. I want to introduce this as well as we're bringing up the human rights violation. We have to make our people aware of some of the international conventions and agreements that were made that we're not aware of to tie ourselves back into this human rights violation. And so, like I was stating at the Easter event that we'll have a banner, and it'll have the Declaration of Rights of the Child, Article 3, that every child has a right to a nationality. And so we're just going a little bit into the International Year of the Child, and that'll be on there too. The International Year of the Child will be on the banner, 1979, along with the Declaration of the Rights of the Child, Article 3, will also be on the banner, where we'll take photos around that banner at the event to put our people on a national, international scale, with just presenting it to them, so that they can become aware that there is a year of the child, International Year of the Child, that they were not aware of. And so then they'll start to look to this rather than they don't say anything about the Constitution. You know, just bringing awareness to certain international topics through community outreach. And so nationality as a human rights subject, 1979, the United Nations International Year of the Child. And the International Year of the Youth, the United Nations International Year of the Youth, the year 1985 was proclaimed by the United Nations as the International Youth Year. It was held to focus attention on issues of concern to and relating to the youth. The proclamation was signed on the 1st of January 1985 by the United Nations Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar. December 2009, the United Nations General Assembly adopted Resolution 64-134, proclaiming the year commencing the 12th of August 2010 as the International Year of the Youth. The resolution calls upon governments, civil society, individuals, and communities. And so it says individuals and communities worldwide to support activities at local and international levels to mark the event. Youth organizations, governments, and civil society are encouraged to organize activities that promote and increase understanding and importance and benefits of youth participation in all aspects of society, as well as those that support youth to devote their energy, enthusiasm, and creativity to development and the promotion of mutual understanding. It encourages young people to dedicate themselves to fostering progress, including the attainment of the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, which seek to slash a host of social inadequacies. And I know a lot of people say the United Nations is a bunch of the Europeans running, and don't get caught up in that. Get more so caught up. Remember, see, they adopted a lot of this stuff. We're not asking for permission of the United Nations either. but we have to align ourselves with well-settled principles. And the United Nations are using stuff and presenting stuff that they have adopted from that goes further back. So it's not a permission bearing type of thing. It's to align ourselves back with the nations, the family of nations, and being in line and progressing, as we should for the youth. This particular progress as we should for the youth. So knowing that they've made this resolution, we're not necessarily asking for permission to take care of the youth or to do stuff for the youth. We're just in lining with what they putting out, what they're projecting. Because remember, projection is part of war, what you can project. And so their projection is that they care about the youth. And so we want to align with that so that we can get at the table. And so, but we got to have a nationality, we got to tie ourselves back to the nations of families, the family of nations. And so we're not asking for permission. Don't get it twisted. It's just aligning yourself with stuff that's already well settled. Hold on. All right. And so this is principle 3. Declaration of the Rights of the Child, 1959. And principle 3 is the child shall be entitled from his birth to a name and nationality. Black is not a nationality. African American. So something's wrong here. And so that's why we want to tie ourselves back into something well settled, not to ask for permission, just to tie yourself back and get in the game. We out of bounds, we out of bounds to my who got what on the scoreboard, but we're not even in the game. So the first step is just to get in the game, then worry about the score. We just out on the sideline yelling, you shouldn't do us like this. The school system is not teaching our children right, but you ain't even made the claim that you're not Black. The police are beating us up. They poison our food. You on the sideline though, saying this though. Everybody else in the game, picks, calling plays, calling timeouts, helping each other. We on the sideline. You can file a UCC. We didn't even put the claim that we're part of the human family. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, everyone has a right to a nationality. Black is not a nationality. African American is not a nationality. And so we're still on the sideline. You ain't giving us a good job. Y'all ain't paying us enough. They don't even hear you. People in the game, they worry about scoring. They're not even listening to you. You're just on the sideline. You can't even affect them. You can't even get in the game. You're out of bounds. So it's just about tying ourselves back into the family of nations, not asking for permission. It's just getting back in line so we can get in the game, then make those same claims, those same arguments. But now you're in the game making it and not out of bounds on the sideline.
I have a question.
All right.
So what's the difference between, say, like a nationality, like once you say you declared your nationality versus like Black, white, Native American, or whatever else?
All right, let me answer it like this. If you get them, and I'm gonna tie it all the way in, if you get pulled over in Georgia, if you go to court, you wouldn't pull out the New York Constitution in Georgia. You would go to the Georgia Constitution. If you get pulled over in South Carolina, you wouldn't pull out a Virginia Constitution, just based on just follow me. You wouldn't pull out a Virginia Constitution if you were pulled over in South Carolina. So we're not going to international law because Black, Negro, color, African American is not tied to any treaties. No subjects of international law. The subject, the word Black, the word African American. We go into the wrong document to support the abuse, and the mistreatment to our people. We're going to the United States Constitution, it doesn't support us in an international position. So our argument, when we raise our argument, if you were in Walmart, you'll look crazy to bring up Staples handbook inside of Walmart. So you in Walmart, but you pull out Staples handbook and argue that you were violated based off of Staples rules and procedures. And so it's about jurisdiction. And so if you're in France, you wouldn't pull out a China constitution. They look at you like, and so when we pull out the United States Constitution, we're not a party of that. We're subjects and we're refuge. We're like property, you know. And so when we try to raise an argument, if a cow could talk and say, "Hey, Mr. Farmer, you're gonna slaughter me," you know, you see, like you it don't mean nothing. You still a cow. You don't have knowledge of who you are because of how you moving. There's no political unity. Look how y'all treating each other, the mistreatments. There's no sense of financial economics being practiced, of self-determination to the land. We just asking people for stuff. And so your nationality ties you back into a political allegiance with your people, where you have accountability. You have, you know, you're subject to do something. You're compelled to move forward. And so the black, just calling yourself that is not enough. It's the relation of political unity that ties you back when you say you more. There's already pre-existing agreements. There's a pre-existing arrangements on how we deal with one another. And so if we're out of our status, if we're out of our mind, then we won't. If they put you on a basketball court, but you think you're playing football, you can't be effective. We in the wrong game. We thinking wrong. We're talking wrong. So when we move for change, it on the line. We talking touchdown, but they shooting threes. So our conversation is wrong. We're not in the game talking about the right stuff. So your nationality ties you back to pre-existing agreements. You know, it puts you back on a human rights platform.
So
go ahead.
So just to like hear what you're saying, would you say that, you know, when you take on the tags of Negro, Black, colored, white, whatever else, right? It ties you to ordinances, codes, and what is it? Not really laws, but just ordinances, codes, and statutes, right?
You're right. It ties you to color of law. And so it's not law itself, it's a semblance or it's an appearance of right. And so when you say you Negro, Black, and color and all of these misnomers, it ties you to a colorable venue where they use language. Remember, we talked about language as a weapon. So now you caught up in a circle of words and they change meanings to benefit the control of the word. And so you get caught up in something that you know nothing about. And you say that you're party to something that wasn't originated to benefit you.
Yes. Okay. So I would simplify it and say that what time, because you're not, I guess you have a nation technically by right of birth, because that's not something that you're that you can't take away.
Collapsed. The nation is the Moroccan Empire.
Hold on. Let me just finish saying my comment.
But you're not born into it. You're born into a refuge. You're born as a refuge because the birth certificate.
So let me just finish saying what I have to say. Just for the record though, right? So once you have a nationality, which you do by blood right, by birthright, by sanguinis, right? By the blood, that's not something that anyone can take away from you. Some people don't know that their blood, right, that they might not acknowledge or have reference to that and what that means. And so when you have a nationality, right, it then ties you to say the Constitution,
It
which
doesn't.
then
What
ties.
Constitution?
Hold on, let me finish.
Well,
Okay.
you said the what? You
I'm
have to
almost
say the
done. I'm almost
Constitution.
done.
But what Constitution though? You just said the
All right.
Constitution.
All right. I'm just.
What Constitution were you referring? Because it don't just tie you to
The Russian Constitution.
Yeah. Well, if you let me just like finish my thought, then we can, ask a question. I think that's fair.
All right, go ahead.
And we're talking about the United States Constitution because I think we're referring to, because just out of the topic we're talking about the U.S., right, in general.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Okay. So I'm referring to the United States Constitution prior to the ratification, right? So again, Constitution, not necessarily. There's a lot of constitutions, right, with different nations that have their own constitution, but I'm referring to the United States Constitution, and by having a nationality, right, and this is my studies, right, that it ties you to the common law, and the common law is common sense. Whereas if you don't have a nationality, you're up for being subject status, right, under the United States Code, which then brings you down into a particular object, thing, or whatever else that they define it as. That's not necessarily common. And so I just wanted to make that distinction, that would you agree that having a nationality would then tie you to common law, and then common law is what makes common sense?
No.
Right? No? Okay. So you can go ahead. That was what I had to say.
Let me address let me use this example I've used about 100 times already. The Chinese Constitution. The Chinese are clothed with the Chinese Constitution. In the Chinese Constitution embodies the nationality of the people in the Chinese Constitution, as well as the name of the nation state. When someone from China flies to France, they are clothed with that Chinese Constitution, because in that Chinese Constitution is the name of the nationality and national origin of the people and the name of nation state. China has embassy in France, has consulates in France, has treaties with France. The Chinese flies to China, but clothed with that Chinese Constitution, because that, once again, has the name of the nationality of the people of China and the name of the nation state. I belong to China. I'm Chinese, and they can go right to the Chinese Constitution and see the name of the nation state. That's there, and the name of the national name of the people. That's the sovereignty of China is vested in the name, in the name of the people, Chinese. There you go. So when a Chinese is beat down by 3 French cops in France, it's as if that those 3 French cops are beating down all of China. That is an attack on, remember, that's one Chinese now. One Chinese being down by 3 French cops. They're beating down all of China. That is a national principle perspective. China is not going to address it as, oh, those 3 French cops beat down that one Chinese. They're going to address it from the perspective of attack on more Chinese sovereignty. So
yeah, but that's not.
Let me finish, sister. Yeah. Let me finish.
Mm-hmm. That's not what I was talking. Yeah, okay.
Sister, let me finish, sister. This is for everybody. I'm not just talking to you, sister. This is for everybody. I'm talking principle of nationality. I'm talking national principle. I'm talking the political application of nationality. That the nationality of the people is drafted in the national constitution of the people. The name of the nation state. Some touches for everyone. All right. I never just speak to the one person ever. All right. So these are principles that we have to sister, I'm speaking to everyone.
Oh, I thought you were done.
I'm not done.
I thought you were done. Okay.
All right. So these are principles, national principles that conscious Moors have not been taught. Conscious Moors have been taught that were part and parcel of the United States. Conscious Moors have been taught. Conscious Moors have been taught by conscious Moors. Ain't no European has ever taught that Moors are part and parcel of the United States Constitution. No European has ever taught that the Moors are founders of the United States Constitution. No Europeans have ever taught that 35 Moors were at the United States Constitutional Convention. No Europeans have ever taught that. They've never written it nor spoken. Conscious Moors have taught that, and I'm one of them. I raised my hand 25 years. I taught that for thousands of people. So I understand the misconception. I had it. I lived it. I taught it. So we have, as Kwasi said, our empire has been collapsed. We have fake people. We have wannabe Moors in the kingdom of Morocco. Not Moors. Wannabe Moors who claim to be Moors. So you have Spanish and French who claim to be Moors on the doctrine of Mohammedanism. They're not Moors. They're French and Spanish, claiming our nationality. If you look at the coat of arms of the Central and South America, if you look at the coat of arms of European families in Europe, as well as the statues, they look like me. None of the statues in Europe look like the people that's in the kingdom of Morocco. They're stealing our history. They're claiming to have drafted the treaties that have in Moors and Masonry Part 1. So I'm tying in, I'm not off the subject, because Kwasi made the point that the Moroccan Empire has been collapsed. He's right. We belong to the Moroccan Empire by national origin and descent. She's in the hospital. Our mother, Morocco, has been in a coma for over 200 years due to English, Spanish, French, Dutch, Swedish conquest and colonization. We have to bring her out. The political act and international law of bringing our mother, Morocco, out of the 200-year period of a coma is called the recovery of lost sovereignty. So we've lost our sovereignty. The state of her being in the hospital in a coma in international law is known as loss of sovereignty and a collapse, disintegration, dismemberment of a state. I'm using international law terminology. And international law, I'm just opening this up. I'm placing it in the proper category of discussion. I'm not off the topic. We have to place it, as Kwasi said, we have to place it in the top proper category. So you have in international law, you have law of war and law of peace. And you have there have authors who will have two parts. They'll have part one, law of war in international law. If you look at any international law books, they'll have, if they have two volumes, it'll be volume one, law of war, law of peace, and then volume two, law of war. All right, and so you'll see under law of war, volume one, if there's two volumes, 1900, 1800s, I've looked at about 12 different international law books. You'll see recovery of lost sovereignty, reversion to sovereignty. under the law of war, part 2, volume 2, if they have 2 volumes, you'll see loss of sovereignty. All right. And under loss of sovereignty, you'll see colonization, conquest, annexation. You'll see that under, and you also see post-millennium. All right. Post-millennium deals with war. So returning the people to the original condition before conquest and colonization. So we have to place the subject of nationality in its proper category. So what you're dealing with us, we're dealing with a collapse, dismemberment of a state, loss of sovereignty. I taught 25 or taught thousands of people that Moorish sovereignty, I'm not off the subject, that Moorish sovereignty is vested in the United States Constitution. That misdirection, that misguidance inhibited my growth for 25 years, from age 25 to age 50. Here comes Shem Malachi Bey, 2019. Though I've known him for 20 years, but I had never worked with him. So conscious Moors, and then these conscious Moors on here, they had the misconception too. So you had myself and these conscious Moors who are listening to me now had the same misconceptions that I had. And they're growing out of that. Kwasi had it. Look at Kwasi. Okono
So
had it.
I have a question.
I had it. I had it. Let me finish the last part, sister. This is not just for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is not just for you. It's for everybody.
I'm talking for everybody, but okay.
No. So I'm saying, I'm talking to everybody. I'm saying, I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to everybody. I'm just, because it's important that we understand the proper concept of nationality, not just because our concept, conscious Moors' concept of nationality is wrong, because they're tying it to the United States Constitution. So it's wrong, because they think that they're
no, I wasn't tying it to the Constitution.
No, sister.
Yeah,
No,
but
sister.
okay.
I'm not just talking to you, sister. Remember,
I brought it up.
But
and
but sister, I'm taking the opportunity to teach though to everybody. I don't just. I know you brought it up. I'm taking the opportunity to teach to everybody. I've done 25 years of misconception that I taught. So I got to clear this up. I'm responsible. I'm responsible for the misconceptions. And I'm saying that a lot of these conscious Moors have a misconception about nationality because they're tying it to the United States Constitution. When they even say that, when I say national, they are, because when you say that more sovereignty that I taught for 25 years, when I taught for 25 years that we the people of the United States, that's the Moors, means that you're tying that Moorish nationality to that United States Constitution. We are, because you're saying that we the people that I taught for 25 years, that we the people of the United States is the Moors. So that's a misconception. So you're saying that our nationality is embodied just like the Chinese or French or English Constitution. You'll see that the national name of the people is vested in the nationality and the Constitution of the country. So where it says Moors in the United States Constitution, just like you would say Chinese or French, Irish in those various constitutions, where does it read Moors in the United? That Moors are the national people of the Constitution. That Moors, that we the people of Morocco, we the people of France, we the people of Germany. Doesn't say we the people of Morocco. But so we've been taught, or it's codified. When it says we the people of the United States, that's codified. All right, I yield.
All right, go ahead with your question, sister.
Oh, I can finish?
Yeah, he said he yield.
Okay. Well, no, I wasn't sure if anyone was gonna talk. Look, I don't want to just be in here if it's gonna be kind of contentious. Like, You know, I want to make sure that I'm clear and everyone else is clear in my understanding of, and not just mine, but everyone else's understanding. Because if it's been 30 years and no solution has come out of it, it's I mean, I don't know, it's like, what's the point? But that's just my opinion of it all. I just know, and I was just looking at some of the videos where Taj brought up some analysis with the Constitution, and I'm just going to refer to this Constitution for the just sake of argument, right? The United States Constitution prior to ratification, right? There's the supremacy clause, right, which is I think it's Article 3 or Article 4, Section 2, right? Where it, because the thing is, for us to solve some of the issues that we're having, we have to get to the root. And so with the supremacy clause, because we're like going backwards, right? And although the Constitution might not necessarily pertain to us, and it wasn't written for us, it was written with the founders of or the 13 companies, right? The founders of U.S. company. Anyway, so but the supremacy clause of the Constitution would then tie us back to the treaties, and from my understanding, the solution, right, is that we have to go back to the treaties, which is what ties us to the nationalities of the L's and the Bays and the Alis. Am I correct in that analysis?
That's what we've been saying,
No,
the treaties.
you're not correct. You're not correct. You're not correct.
Okay,
I said, sister, sister. So I'm saying you're
well,
not
I just
correct.
want
This
to
for
finish. I
everybody.
just want to finish
But you asked
because
me,
we're
are
having
you correct? You asked the question, sister.
and you said no,
And then,
right? You said no.
And then I'm going to explain why you're not correct. This is for everybody. This is for everybody. You're not correct. I'm going to explain why you're not correct. As I said last week, and you were on here because you were the one that brought the question, the statement last week. All right, last Wednesday on the same platform. You know, that the treaties are that the treaties don't give us the claim to land, because the treaty is between us and a foreign power. So our claim, and also Article 6 doesn't give us claim to the treaty. Article 6 of the United States Constitution, Article 6 of the United States Constitution does not give the Moors the power to enforce the United States, to force the treaties. It is our inherent sovereignty operating in national political structure. So because they're pre-existing treaties, so there's no supremacy clause of the United States Constitution. There's no United States Constitution, nothing that gives the Moors authority to enforce the treaty. It's our inherent sovereign power. It's a pre-existing sovereignty. There's no treaty that gives any country, any nation in the world, the right to their land, because a treaty is agreement between two nations, France and Germany. So the treaty between France and Germany does not give the French the claims to the French land. The French sovereignty is not rooted in that treaty between France and Germany. That's what I'm saying. So we just gotta clear up, a lot of misconceptions.
No, hold on. Okay, so skip the treaties, right? Because we're talking about birthright. Birthright is then, because this is where we're getting our sovereignty. The first will be last, or the last will be first, but it goes in order. Who was the firstborn on the planet, and who was the lastborn? Who had the most ancient history? Who had the more modern history, right? And so for us to go back to the ancient history, we would have to recognize our ancientness within ourselves. And how do we do that? We would do that with recognizing our blood right, genetics are am I right in that analysis?
Yes, but in
Still
that you would be
good.
exercising and acknowledging those things. You would then be coming together to exercise the will of the people. So you would be making it manifest by the coming together. So until there's that coming together of the people, it's not there.
You out of bounds still, just saying it.
And also,
Right.
we don't need to deal with ancient right now because you have pre-existing treaties. So you can, I mean, if I'm talking to somebody off the street, if I'm talking to somebody who's new, I'm going to refer them to Moors and Masonry Part 1, and I'm going to show them pre-existing treaties, 1500s, 1600s. Like I don't want to start with ancient for somebody who doesn't know anything. I gotta give them a clear reference point. I gotta give them a clear reference point to a pre-existing sovereignty. So if I walk them through Moors and Masonry Part 1 and the Moorish treaties, that is a clear reference point because it has the name of the treaties, all right, the type of treaties has more in the treaty. So I can show them that these are pre-existing obligations and our position of how we were operating when we were in power. And in the treaty, so I was making a point. This is for everyone that we don't need to start with ancient because then because that is too far. When you're talking to somebody who doesn't know that there are references when you're talking to treaties because the treaties will give a pre-existing will point to like let me explain. Let me give a reference, a real reference. 1968, in the International Law Commission, or the Rights and Duties of States, Ceylon was classified as a new state by the International Law Commission of the United Nations, Rights and Duties of State. The representatives of Ceylon challenged that claim and pointed to 19th century, 1800s, 19th century, 1800s, treaty and diplomatic relations that Ceylon had. Like Ceylon, the representative go back 10,000 years. The representative didn't go back, 20,000 years. The representative went back to the 19th century, which is 1800s, pointing to I'm just giving, this is a live case. So I'm just going to give a live reference point to support my claim, So that is something, that is what we can use. That's under the reversion to sovereignty. We can use that case. I yield.
So I'm not in agreement with, disregard ancient history because that's why for me at least, that's why it makes sense because for you to understand jurisprudence, history and law all ties together. So I definitely don't agree with that. But for the folks that are unconscious, yeah, maybe that's not the route, but for scholars and stuff like that, yeah, it definitely does tie to ancient history. And law and international law stems from ancient laws. Anyways, that's just my understanding. I yield and I'm done for the night.
All right. Anybody else got anything they want to add?
Pacola, you want to preview, talk about Monday, Moorish Monday? Pacola's on Moorish Monday at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She's one of the keynote speakers of the Moorish Governance Birthright Nationality Claim Conference. All right, Pacola, you want to give us a preview? She probably wait. She can hear. She's probably, I know she's at work. Let's give her one. All right. Cola? All right, she won't be able to talk right now. So, as I said before, I will have various keynote speakers and panelists Kwasi's one of the panelists on the Moorish Monday with Abdullah Il Talimosi Bey on the Crystal Pyramid, Magnet Crystal Pyramid YouTube page. I've been doing that since the first Monday in December of 2023. So I'm going to take in this opportunity. We have Sasha will be on the April 30th, and I'll bring her on with other people. But I'm just doing work on this lineup. Kwasi, I got to get Kwasi's date. All right. So just looking to line up, putting this schedule together of the various keynote speakers and panelists, so as to market the keynote speakers and panelists and the conference, as well as the political unity, national political unity plan. Are you available, Cola? All right, Susan. All right, I yield.
All righty. See how many more slides we got. Anybody else got anything they want to add? But yeah, so we'll be pushing this information on the 31st of this month. We'll pass out flyers. Like I said, we'll have the banner bringing awareness of the International Year of the Child, and everyone has a right to a nationality. So that's part of the outreach. That's how we're outreaching the people. And so I hope you all can take this same concept, and do a small, you can go to a neighborhood that you already know, people already live there, apartment complex. And that's what we're doing. We're having it where the children are already there. So all thing we got to do is just bring the bounce house, bring the train ride, bring the information, and kind of build with them and connect with the parents and just build a registry and just slow walk it and continue to have community outreach within the community. And so you all can take these same concepts and implement it in your area. Anybody got any thoughts, concerns, questions or anything? Soon I'll be doing a PowerPoint or do a presentation on how to use PowerPoint, because I know a lot of people are not familiar with how to create PowerPoint. It's real easy, and I'm gonna go through it, real step by step, answer questions as you got the question, so you can begin to develop your own PowerPoints and kind of have a structured presentation to kind of present as you start your study groups up. So I hope that this study group was enlightening to all the people that was on, that we had a good debate that I think was real good and helpful to bring out some clarity. As the sister mentioned, she had some good questions, and a lot of her concerns was stuff that how she felt personally, and she brought out some good points on how other people gonna look at it. And so that's good ways to how you kind of can, cross-reference what a person is saying, and kind of make sure it all aligns. Because the only thing we're looking for is political unity. We're looking to unify, to get ourselves out of the position we're in by demonstrating jurisprudence, demonstrating understanding of national principles, which we haven't been, And so I think that this was a good meet today. Anybody got any closing remarks? Anything they want to add? Any motivation? Anything?
Hey, bro, I got like a kind of question, comment type of thing.
Go ahead, bro.
All right. Since this is the real, the beginning of the year, this time of the year, obviously, January. I think everybody in this group know that January ain't the real beginning of the new year. This is right now. So,
but you got so you have where the days get shorter and where the days get longer, and so you have the winter solstice, is where the sun
I know
is at its lowest point. Yeah. So it depends on this just the beginning of spring, but the sun, the increasing of the day could be also the beginning of life, because now you get more sunlight. So it all just depends on who's the author and who's saying it. But you also got where the days get shorter and then where the days start to get longer. And that too is life, because now you have more energy being brought and more sunlight, which deals with agriculture. So it just depends on where you live and where you're located. You know, spring is not spring everywhere on the planet. So it's just, you have to just put it in context and not just apply spring to everybody on the entire planet, because it depends on where you are, where the sun is, and everything. And so you got the winter solstice where the sun appears to be still, where it's no longer moving. And then you got what is it? You got the winter solstice for 3 days, the sun apparent motion is still, and then Christmas, you know, the 25th is where the sun starts to the days get longer from that day. Now the days by a few seconds begin to get longer. And January 1st is dealing with the Polaris star. Is that right, Abdullah? The Polaris star is a Sirius. January 1st. It may have dropped off. Is it still on? But yeah, but go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I mean, I didn't got in a lot of debates about this type of stuff. People trying to argue me down about January being the beginning of the new year, but I mean, you're right about that. You know, different parts of the planet. But I'm just saying, like, we know that the ancestors always knew that springtime, no matter where you at, whenever it is springtime, it's still the beginning of the year. But I'm just saying, that is there going to be like a group? You know what I mean? Maybe going into some of that information. Because I be wanting to do like a timeline type of thing, because obviously the timeline has been changed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really trying to figure out, what time are we really in? You know what I mean? I mean, obviously this ain't 2024 for real. You know what I mean? At some point in time, Gregorian calendar, all this, all that stuff, time has been changed. From my understanding, it used to be what, 9 months? You know what I mean? Like the woman birth cycle, whatever it was now, it's really actually what, 9 months or something like that.
You got the sun calendar which follows the sun, but you also have the moon calendar. Neither belongs to the European. So just you have different calendar, moon cycle, then you got the sun cycle. So it is 12 months, with the sun, dealing with the phases of the sun and how it moves through the different astrological planes, Gemini, Taurus, etc. But then you do have the moon calendar as well. And so you got different calendars depending on what's trying to be conveyed.
Okay. I just want to get into like the timeline stuff. I mean, that's not ready for this class per se. It's just something that be on my mind. You know what I mean? Really trying to like, really find out, what year this really is and what time is, what's really what. You know what I mean? Because, it's been a lot of so-called prophecies and all that about, what was going to happen in 2020 or 20, whatever, 2012 and all that. But I'm just saying, I know for a fact this ain't no 2024. So I'm just trying to figure out, what time is we really in right now? It's just something I be personally thinking about. You asked about any comments, so I just brung it up because, this being, means spring and the beginning of the year, I'm really trying to like get on the time thing. So, you asked, so that's it. That's all.
All right, well, yeah, that's something to take in consideration. We can look into that in one of the study groups, and for the sake of what you mentioned. Anybody else got anything to add or say?
Yeah, tomorrow is the Moroccan Post School of Government International Law Advanced Study Group. I'll be doing part 2. It's a 4th class. I'll be doing part 2 tomorrow. That dealing with I dealt with the misconceptions last 2 weeks ago, and I'll be doing part 2. I'm going to go into the Northwest Ordinance. I'm showing that the United States Constitution is not the Moorish Constitution. By construction, that Constitution and United States is a continuation of conquest and European colonization by its construction. And you're not going to understand that by just simply reading it. You got to go to the history. We're taking a jurisprudence approach. We're not taking a law school approach, where a law school approach is they open the Constitution and start reading it. We're not taking that approach. We're going, to the foundation of their authority. They don't want us to take this approach. They don't want
So
us to take this.
so the foundation would be historical, correct?
All right, tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Have a good night.
Tomorrow.
All right, you all. And then next week on the 4th Wednesday, we're gonna just do a Q&A, how we did last week on Easter, where we do a Q&A recap on the presentation today. So if you want this presentation, you can text me, and I can email it to you, or you can add yourself into the Tribal Ujima study group, and we'll post this recording in that study group as well. And so we'll see you all, some of you all tomorrow. And then next week on the 4th Wednesday, we'll be back on this same link with the Easter Q&A review. So appreciate everybody for being on, all of the questions and concerns. Let's keep building, and peace and love.
Before you go, brother, when are you going to do the what was that PowerPoint presentation?
I'll probably do it. What is March the 4th? March, sometime in April. If y'all want that to be next, we can do that after the Easter Q&A, which be the last 4th Wednesday, the Wednesday of this month. Next month, we can look into doing that. Then April, we can do. We'll look over how to use PowerPoint, how to conduct PowerPoint meetings. We'll do that in April. You heard me?
Yeah, yes, brother.
Okay. Yeah. All right, you all. Well, peace and love. Have a wonderful evening, and stay diligent. And I'll see you all soon. Peace.
May you, brothers and sisters.
Peace and love.